I guess I'll do the roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Dana Marks.
Here.
Councilmember Jeanette.
Here.
Councilmember Schrader.
Here.
Councilmember McCamey.
Here.
Councilmember Dickerson, excused, he'll be a little late, and of course, Mayor Brandon Noto here. Before we get into the business, I'd just like to take a moment in prayer before we get started. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day that you have created for us, and we just ask that you would bless us as we go out about the business of the city. Father, your word tells us to give Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. And so as we decide what Caesar gets this morning, we just ask that you would bless us with your wisdom and your discernment, Father, that everything that we do would be pleasing to you and according to your will. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right, item number 3, business 1, presentation, discussion, and direction. Future capital projects to be included in the city's budget for fiscal year 2026-2027. Mr. Rudy.
How are you, sir? Good morning, Mayor, Council. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. So, what we have this morning is, well,
Squirt.
we've got nothing.
Clean slate.
A clean slate. It is downloading.
A clean slate.
Okay.
Rudy has overloaded Excel.
We didn't know that was possible. Didn't even know they could do
Try X and add Rudy and
Let's hear Caesar off to this point.
It's not working.
Tillman's about to, Tillman offered, I don't know how many billion to buy Caesar's Entertainment yesterday.
Really?
Yes.
Downloading.
Go on Vegas.
Wow.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Sorry about that, gentlemen.
I think it's 7 billion. 7 billion more than I got.
So every year, we start off the budget process with discussion on capital and future projects. This future capital CIP will be in the budget for 2027. And we have a couple of sheets that shouldn't go terribly long. These, most of these come from last year. So if you take a look at the screen, we've got capital projects for 2027 fiscal year. And included in the sheet, you'll see for fiscal years 28 to 31 as well. And this forms the core of our CIP that is included in our budget and is adopted separately by council every year. It's the long-term plan of future capital projects that we put together with staff. These have changed a little bit. The green are from last year. The purple have changed a little bit from last year with the help of the city manager and staff to align better with the new CIP, the new strategic plan that's being developed. So what this discussion is going to be today is to try to get council's input on whether or not these are going to be something we want to consider to include in the budget, or if it's reasonable to include in the 5-year plan at all, and if so, at what denominations and at what years would you like to see them. So for example, Georgia may want a swimming pool because she got a lot of requests from the citizens that they want a swimming pool. And so she puts that in here. Council says, well, that's not in this reality, so it's not even going to show up. So they'll take that off. But in some cases, it may be something down here in 2031. We might look at considering that as a capital project. That's what this discussion is. Do we want it even on a long-term plan? And if so, do we want to consider it as part of the 27? This does not mean that this is what's going to be in the budget. This means these are the items that we consider important for inclusion in both the CIP and the budget. So we'll go through each one of these, and we have the experts in the departments here to answer any questions particularly. As you know, we have remodeling that we had suggested last year, about 50,000, 2 years in a row for 50,000 for here at City Hall. We're not considering building a new one, or there's no appetite for us going out and getting a new building at this time. So we're looking at remodeling City Hall to allow for additional growth over the next years.
So, gentlemen, for the city hall remodel, the reason I had him up at the 250,000 is because it's a part of our strategic plan that you guys, it will come before you at the next meeting for approval, but it is a portion of that plan. So the items that I changed in here were items that were in the strategic plan, or there's been some slight price increases or price decreases, so we wanted to be in line with more accurate pricing. But for the city hall remodel, the reason for the 250,000 is a portion of that is bricking the exterior of this building. I feel that it will make it better match our downtown corridor, and it will bring the city back to what it used to look like years ago before the stucco was put on the side of the building. So that is a big portion of that, and maybe potentially adding some windows, changing out the windows that are here, bringing them up to a better grade. You know, in addition to some of the changes that we would like to make within City Hall. With this remodel, there won't be much changing of walls per se, just because I think there's other issues that we don't want to run into with moving walls. So it would be a light remodel of just the, you know, of the areas that we have now. I do think that 250,000 will cover it, but so I will leave that up to you guys on that City Hall remodel. But it is a part of our strategic plan, and like I said, I do feel for the exterior of the building, it would be fantastic to change it. I think that it would change our downtown corridor and make it look like a City Hall.
Are we still planning on moving council chambers to the Justice Center?
That is in the plans to do so, but with this $250,000 remodel, it's not. It's to keep what we have currently in place and just to upgrade. So as you can see in here, there is definitely a need for a flooring upgrade. I would not suggest putting in carpet or even carpet tiles in the future when we could do, like an LVP or something like that on the ground. But that would definitely be an option pending your approval if we would move forward with the Justice Center of doing that. I would love to do that, but financially it would be a little tight.
What is the expense to make that move, Seth?
To go over there, I mean, I don't have exact numbers for you, Mayor Pro Tem, but I would think somewhere in the ballpark of 25 to 50,000 just to upgrade the equipment over there, and then over here that number would be about the same. So keeping the 250 here to redo this building. I mean, we could do it, over years, so we wouldn't have to upgrade everything at one time. And so we could use that money for that to upgrade the facilities over there that we need to, and then use the remainder of that funding here to, upgrade a little bit every year. But for 27, that would be,
And that's kind of why I asked the question, if a portion of that could, whatever the minimum would be to move us over there for the meetings,
yes.
then the remainder come over here and we can do what we can.
Okay.
And then next year pick up the balance of what we need to do at both.
All right, I'm all good for that.
I mean, that gets you moving here in the direction you want to go instead of us occupying this part of the building.
Absolutely.
Any other thoughts, guys, on that?
No, I mean, not having our council meetings at City Hall is not ideal, obviously, but just the situation that we're in. I guess,
But that's the only reason is because we talked about it in strategic planning about sectioning this off for
Right.
future offices and stuff, and then making that the conference.
yeah.
So what's the
And if
name?
we're gonna spend money on this place, this is one area. I want council chambers to look like professional council chambers. chambers, you know, got a nice dais and all, we only have a plaque behind us saying we're the city of Santa.
Well, those maroon drapes are very
Now, those
professional.
maroon drapes, you know, I got me a maroon, I want some maroon drapes.
So Brandon, what's the negative impact of moving over there?
I mean, practically, there's not. It's just the idea of not having your council meetings at City Hall. I mean, I don't know any other city that has their council meetings somewhere else besides City Hall, but practically, there's no disadvantage. There's not. It's just, this doesn't seem right. you know.
Logistics of moving all the equipment, and then there's an advantage of having our server here in the server room.
Right. But, it also doesn't make any sense practically to have this room sit vacant 95% of the time
Right.
when they're all crammed in like, sardines on the other end of City Hall. So
Yeah.
it's not that I'm opposed to it at all. I mean, obviously,
And
we're not gonna get a new City Hall.
we face
so-
the same thing over
Yeah.
there with that chamber sitting empty
Right.
the bulk of the time. And
Right.
A lot more parking, but, okay,
It is a lot more parking
something to talk to.
and nicer facilities.
Yeah,
We'll just have to make sure we can get the maroon drapes.
over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look
I'll
good
do
in the
orange
lobby.
one, I'll do orange one too.
I was thinking restroom.
Yeah.
For the restroom, man.
On a little road.
We're being video.
That's where we put all the mayor pro tem, that's where we put all the former mayor pro tem pictures too, is in the restroom.
As long as it's.
Wait a minute.
So as you can see, going further, we have community services. The vehicle that they have planned, that's just a continuation from the prior year.
So now, Miss, can I ask a question on that real quick?
Sure.
So I assume that money's there for purchase of new. Have we looked at, does the PD, we were talking about pulling Tahoes out early.
We
Is
are,
there-
so we're looking at it, this is just from the prior years that y'all have pushed, and that's why we left it
Okay.
on there, but that is absolutely, so everything today, guys, this is just putting it on the plan. It's not that this is gonna be funded, this is not set in stone, it just gives us a basis to work from the budget, so you're correct though. We are looking at
Okay.
pulling one of the PD Tahoes to put over there, but we can definitely take that off, cause
That's correct.
that's the plan for right now, is to just utilize one of those. We have put up for auction, that, the Charger and I'll leave that where it is.
Okay.
Parking lot is still on track for fiscal year '29.
I
Library.
don't know if we can wait till 29.
At least expansion.
If
We're
we
gonna
do
have-
anything, yeah, if we do
We're
anything
gonna have to do
adjacent to
something over
it.
there.
Remodeling of the library offices is here at 35. The air conditioning has been removed because that was replaced, the condenser was replaced last year in that emergency funding request. So that is no longer there. The remodeling of the bathrooms at library are here as well. We'll get some additional figures before we finalize the CIP, or some.
Yeah, cause for that, we might can do that, I feel like a little bit less, for a little bit less potentially on that, so, we'll come up with some, I think, more cost-effective ways to do both of those as much as we can,
What are you talking
And I
about?
guess at some
For the
point,
remodeling the kitchen, I feel like that we could go with, I don't think it's gonna be 35,000. I know that's what it was budgeted for, but I think we could do it for less than that. As I've done this, at 2 facilities in Georgia before coming here, and it did not cost me that to do that,
so I
so.
guess at some point Becky or somebody will explain what that is, what that remodel details.
Yeah, I mean, and Becky, if you were,
Yes, sir, the remodel kitchen for 20,000, that is actually the kitchen that's in the meeting room that was just damaged from water. So I have warped board cabinets in there, and so that amount is just, it has a $4,000 cushion in it for labor, but I already have gone to Home Depot and Lowe's, looked at cabinet and the backsplash and everything, and it's a little bit padded just because of labor, because I didn't know how much the labor was gonna be, but I already have details I've given Rudy the details for cabinets, backsplash, the countertop, the sink, and things that we need in that room. But it's already, I mean, it's dried out. I dried it out with fans and things. But the cabinets, we're storing food and stuff on the floor
So
because the cabinets.
if that was due to a water leak, did insurance not cover it?
No, I don't believe so because there wasn't enough there to meet the deductibles,
What is
my
your,
understanding.
what is your parts list so far? What you just said, I don't care about the labor. What are you in on hard materials?
I think
Do you
it,
remember?
I don't have it in front of me, but I'm thinking it's 15, 16 right in there, but
Okay.
that's with the backsplash and,
Gotcha.
not the gold ones, I promise.
So you're saying it wasn't enough to meet deductible? What-
Yes, sir. I believe so. We didn't,
Where's that?
there wasn't enough damage there. It's just the bottom cabinets were, the water was there, so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's for my time here, so.
So the 35,000 is more than just bringing it back to where it was prior
Is
to
it,
the
well,
leak?
is that 35 or 20?
It's
It says 35.
Oh, no, it was supposed, the 30, if it says, I can't see it, so if it says kitchens, that's both kitchens, not one. So I'm looking at repairing the meeting room kitchen this year, and that's like in the 50, thanks.
We'll keep moving, because I'm sure at some point the
Yeah.
departments will come back and discuss their
Correct,
Yes,
yeah,
budget, right?
absolutely. These are just to go through today what we have. Next is park improvements, and so that is for inclusive of all of our parks, is that 100,000 on that. So you guys know that we've got, needs across the board for our parks, so that may be something that we need to consider upping that amount, especially with some of our parks that are not developed. If we're gonna, if we choose to try to develop those parks, keeping that, piecemealing it every year together is where we're gonna have to be at. But thankfully, we've got that grant coming in for Runge. But even with that, I know each of you guys know that $1 million can go really quick. So, but this will, continue to provide infrastructure. All right. Next is for Joe Timbrella to add, that's been on the list to do cameras and lighting out there. I definitely think that there's a lighting need. I've heard that from several residents out at the trail, especially out there. I think that that's a much needed item. So looking at doing that and then adding some cameras up there, which of course will come to y'all for approval. But any questions on any of the parks?
Sounds like we're good.
All right.
So next we have Chief here to discuss the flock cameras, but it's a continuation again from last year. And the need to include those in our law enforcement equipment.
And Chief, that's including for at least for a year or two for because I know it's the not just the cost of purchasing them, but the subscription for Flock, correct?
Correct. So I believe that number is 7 cameras. It's not necessarily have to be 7 cameras. Whenever we had our original meeting with Flock Safety, that was just what they recommended. Since then, the county has actually put up some cameras, so we could supplement that. But the 50,000 could potentially cover the installation of 4 or 5 cameras and then the service fees for the next 2 fiscal years.
Perfect.
So we can modify that and discuss that further if that's what y'all would like to determine the amount of cameras. Initial install per camera is $3,500, and then it's $3,000 a year after that. And they do everything. They do all the maintenance, they do all the upgrades, it's all inclusive of that $3,000 per camera. If a camera goes out and something goes bad, they replace it, no questions asked. As long as we pay that $3,000 per camera.
It's 3,000 per camera, not 3,000 for the system per year.
That's right.
Correct, reoccurring every year is $3,000 per camera.
It's extremely high. I will tell you, a lot of communities are even going to putting the Flock cameras in their parks as well, which I think is interesting. You've got to have a lot of money. Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of funding, but what we do have, putting them on our roadways. So
Even if it was to start with, maybe 3 cameras or 4 cameras. So we could cover 646 North at 2nd Street and then 646 South down around 32nd Street where the city limits end. We are at least covered there. Those are 2 uncovered exits of the city right now. There are cameras currently on the east end and on the west end that were put up by the sheriff's office. And that by getting into the game with Flock, we then can do requests to the other police agencies in the county and have access to all of their cameras as well. But we have to put skin in the game.
I've never been a big fan of Flock before, but this last year and seeing some of the cities in the hill country go to it and just seeing what they've done around here and how fast they apprehend a person. I've kind of changed my thought process on the Flock cameras, and I can see where, it opens us up to everybody else in the area, but it's really a statewide safety plan. I mean, it's being a good, it's being a good city for the state.
Good partner, yeah.
Chief, there's no expense for the shared cameras, is that correct? It's a courtesy?
That's correct. So what they require is that you're inputting data into the system and then you get access to the system, right?
Regardless of how many cameras you have to input?
I think he said probably 2 minimum.
Okay.
So, and again, we've actually borrowed logins from neighboring cities, and we talked about it last year, but we had a jugging at CVS here in Santa Fe, which is where they eye the person at the bank getting money out from the bank, follow them to the next location, and then rob them. And we had a jugging in Santa Fe. We were able to locate the vehicle using another agency's login, and then to build the case on the back end after we had the suspect in custody, we were able to prove by using League City's Flock cameras and Dickinson's Flock cameras that that vehicle did in fact follow our citizen from League City, from the bank, and followed them all the way to Santa Fe, where obviously there's not cameras, but to the location and actually commit a crime against them. And we were able to put all that together using the Flock cameras and present that to the DA's office to build a stronger case. So it's a great investigative tool. It hits on warrants, it hits on stolen vehicles, and so as long as you're logged into the system and a camera within your city or your radius that you have set up by a geofence, if it hits a stolen vehicle, it sends you alert immediately, as soon as that camera hits that car. Or if somebody has a warrant and it's registered to that vehicle, then it hits on that vehicle and sends logged in users an alert that this vehicle could possibly be carrying somebody with a felony warrant.
Does the city of Hitchcock have any Flock cameras?
I don't believe so. I believe the ones that are near the city of Hitchcock are by the Galveston County Sheriff's Office. I'm not 100% sure though.
Yeah, because, you hit on something on that south end of town off 646 going to 2004. With the amount of development we have back on that side of town, that's quick. And you see all these rings and stuff getting busted over in Brazoria and Angleton, when they bust these 4-wheeler rings and boats and trailers and stuff like that. And I think that's the south end of town is for sure something we're gonna have to lock up. I lost a tractor and trailer out that way, and I know that's the way they went. There ain't nothing to do. I mean, they got too many ways to get away once they get out there.
Yeah.
All right, so next, with the PD, we have the replacement of the IT backup system. It's a battery backup system that they have. It was originally installed, my understanding is, with the building. And with the specs that were taken from the device last week, was able to come up with some newer numbers. I think the price of batteries have come down dramatically. So we had originally thought it would be like 100,000, but some of the ones I found with installation probably are not going to be more than 50,000. So that with the same rating, we're getting final estimates from PC and Cable, who are our IT vendor. They've always done a really great job for us, but that's the initial value for replacing that. So our current backup system is on its last leg. It's probably, this is about 12, 13 years old?
So when we go to the PD's actual portion of the budget, you're gonna see a line item for battery replacement for the IT backup system. It's gonna cost us roughly $5,000 to $6,000 this year to replace the batteries inside that backup system if we do not completely replace it altogether.
This is something, this to me is not, a want at all, this is an extreme need. And so I'm glad that it's in the budget. Luckily, we were able to get that price, down significantly, but it's something that we're gonna have to do, guys.
The backup system functions as a backup not only for the PD and its critical systems, but our network, our citywide
Yeah,
network.
for City Hall as well.
And that's just the battery backup, the UPS.
And then we have our patrol rifles, which continuation from last year. And Chief will talk about that more in detail perhaps when we get to the department budgets later on in the process. And then his police cars, which is a replacement, next, which is the same amount that we had before. With that, I think we can get, what we say, 4?
4.
We get 4 with that, and that's great. Really be cutting it close, but I think we can probably make it work with that. If not, maybe a couple $1,000s differential. And of course, the handheld radios, which is a continuation of the replacement costs from the current year, which we've already received. Is that right?
Correct. We purchased 6 in this year's, in the 26 budget, and we're slated to purchase 6 more for the capital improvement plan, if you guys approve it.
So this next item, going to street paving, it's been historically 200,000. I had doubled that number. Of all the items on this list, I feel that it's of most importance, is for us to go after more streets in the city. It's my perception that we're not where we should be, and so $400,000 for this year will get us closer to where we need to be. We've got a lot of roads across the city that need to be resurfaced, and so to me, I believe that we need to double that number. It was we talked about a little bit strategic planning on paving. And so it's my recommendation that we double that number and also increase, to 300,000 at least year after year. But I do believe that for this year that 400's needed to do what we need to do in the city. Do I think that'll cover everything? Absolutely not. But it'll give us a good start.
I think a lot of it too is price increases, so we're not
Yeah,
nearly getting.
Right now, 10 years ago, we was at $44 a ton for asphalt. Right now, we're at $120 a ton for asphalt.
300%.
I'm only averaging with $200,000. I'm not even getting a mile of road. I'm like 0.88, 0.99. We're only a little over 4,000 linear feet of road I'm getting with $200,000.
Everything's about to go up on that end, Billy.
Yes, sir.
I guess a question to get back into the police deal that I've had a couple of members bring up to me.
Yeah.
And so a joint question, I guess, for either Seth or Shores or whoever wants to take it is, what is the cost of pushing the replacement schedule of the police cars out a year?
A little bit more wear and tear on the vehicles, a little bit more maintenance, and then in the event we do decide to auction them, we could see less at auction.
I think our schedule shows us 6 years, so right now we're doing a 6-year replacement schedule on the vehicles. That's where we're at.
And so like the ones that are gonna be coming out of service shortly are right around the 75,000 mark.
Man, I wish I got a new truck over 75,000 miles.
I think everybody up here knows that we're gonna have to push some of these numbers, we're gonna have to, you can already take chipper off. I mean, I don't see, we're talking about, I'm 100% on the Tahoes and stuff, and 75,000.
I mean, is it like there's a 100,000 mile warranty and we don't want to take them over 100,000 or we lose the warranty or
That's
what's
part of
the?
Warranty on them.
Whenever we bought these vehicles, they came with a 100,000 mile powertrain warranty.
Yeah.
So really, once we start getting out of that 100,000 range is when we start paying.
And with
for it.
resale, I mean, when you hit 100,000, it decreases significantly, just when we auction these vehicles off and, pushing it out, I mean, the vehicles to go to 100,000, I know that most, I don't know about cities, but I know counties that's for police vehicles, not for, our like community service vehicles or, some of the regular city vehicles, they can go, to 150, 200,000 miles, no problem. But for police vehicles, it's typically that 100,000 mile mark.
No, I mean, they gotta work and they gotta be able to get up and go.
Correct.
So, but, if they're getting 75,000 miles on them in 6 years, that's 12,500 a year. You multiply that 7, so you push them out an extra year, that's only 87.5.
And it has.
You do it, so, and that gives us another year. I mean, that just gives us some wiggle room. That's 318,000 there that, we can then,
Well, if let's say we went from 4 vehicles, because that's essentially what we're getting right now, to go into maybe 1 vehicle, just so that way that we are getting these vehicles year after year. That way we're not, I don't want to run into the issue again that we have right now, that all of our vehicles are, and forgive me if I don't have the year right, 2021 or 2022, that they're all the same year model. I think that's, they all come up at the same time. So if we do that I think that, we could definitely, push that out of here, but at least with 1, let's move forward with. I know we were slated for, what was it, 2 this year? Or 4 this year, and how many have we gotten thus far?
Oh, this year?
Yes. No,
we've
fiscal
got-
year we're in right now.
We bought 2.
2, that's correct.
So let me ask you a
just
question.
throughout that, well, go ahead, Dan, I'm sorry.
No, let me ask a question. So currently, we're targeting 75,000 for 4 of them this year. Are the ones next year gonna be at 75, or are they gonna be beyond that, based on the fact that they were all purchased around the same time in the beginning?
They're probably gonna be really close to it, maybe a little bit more.
Than the 75?
So that's just the highest 2 right now. I
Here's
believe
what
one is at 77 and one is at 75. Then I believe the ones after that are in the 60s right now.
here's what I wanna avoid, is like Brandon's talking about pushing them out a year. That's gonna put us at 85, 87 on that 4. But if the ones right behind it, coming up in 28,
That are gonna go over.
are at the same, they're gonna hit the 100 mark if we push everything, right?
But for today, remember guys, this is not, we're not making any, this is not set in stone for the budget. This is just, what we do every, what we've got for the next 5 years on our plan. Sometimes,
Can we get a list of the patrol vehicles and what the mileage is on them,
absolutely.
each one of them?
Yeah, the only thing we would have to update on that list that Rudy just had up would be current mileage.
I've also heard, size of the Tahoes, why we need a large Tahoe when the other,
I don't think we're gonna go back with Tahoes, are we?
I
Are
don't
we
know.
going to
It's just
the
been-
We're on
Durangos?
Durangos, yeah.
You're looking at about a $7,000 price tag difference
Yeah.
in the vehicle initially purchased between Tahoes and Durangos.
I'm just thinking the maintenance on them. I know
So-
the Tahoes are heavier, braking, rotors, I know that has to wear.
Yeah, there's a lot of wear on those brakes and it's expensive.
And trying to get our fleet all in alignment as well, where we have just one singular
Yeah.
fleet. That's why going to the Durangos and, they've all got the Hemi in them, which is, proven engine, which I know the Tahoe's, the 5.3 is a great.
Down our side of the long like that.
That's right.
So under consideration then is just to take this whole line and move it over one
Or just,
We'll get to that in
Move it
the
over to the
departments, I
one.
think.
yeah.
That way we can, and then we'll take a look and see what the mileage is on these vehicles coming up here.
Yeah,
Which is what we're
let's
doing.
keep that, and then we,
Mhm.
as we get further into budget, we'll,
Yeah.
we'll make those changes, down the road, but let's not knock it for
Sure.
now. Um,
And Chief, are we comfortable with the radios, that 4-year span?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll be doing okay with that.
That over the last 3, the radios will still be operable while we're waiting on new ones?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And Chief, I went ahead and put in the start of replacing the earlier radios from this fiscal year, I guess back here in 37, because they'll be ready to be replaced by then, right?
You'll be talking to
It's like,
different.
it's like 10 years,
Different council.
you know, because I think the equipment lasts about 10 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I had. Very good. This council may still be here, who knows?
No.
One of us may not even be alive then, Rudy, old as I am.
We're gonna have
I wasn't talking about you.
Glad you cleaned that up.
We'll have to have our council meetings at the Victorious Living.
Yeah, we got this mandatory living.
Well, it's about to happen, so.
Oh,
Lord.
Lord.
All right.
Now, the 750,000 set that we got from the EDC for, is that just drainage? That's no paving?
That's correct, that's just drainage, yeah.
That chipper right there,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's needed. I know how the environment, as far as putting great stuff in that dump's gonna go from now on. But I'm gonna say it like I said it last time, that is something that we need, and we've talked about this. Working, I mean, I don't know what Dickinson's Hitchcock's future is, but it's something we can work with, like maybe Dickinson and Lick City and get like an interlocal agreement where we can all go in and buy one that benefits all of us. Cause I mean, that's a cheap one right there. I just can't see spending that much money for something that's gonna be used on an as-needed basis. And as needed is a storm, basically. I know we have a lot of other stuff, but we can handle that through our budget. But, I mean, it's gonna be hard to get these budget numbers this year right, and that's a lot of money.
Bill, you mentioned we can't burn it anymore, correct?
Correct.
So,
We want to still consider it on a long-term CIP option?
I would look into seeing, Seth has talked about this. We used to do this with the county all the time, interlocal contracts. If we could, I mean,
The
if we
problem
could
is we
work.
would all need it at the same time.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's
we'd
the
have to
issue.
have a place where we could, we'd have to figure out this in advance. A place that we could haul stuff to, that would be kind of beneficial to both of us.
Well, maybe we do it, with the county as well, because I mean, really, they're the only ones, and I'm thinking off the top of my head, not the county be willing to do it, but Jack Brooks Park, because they've got the room if we had to
Right.
take, that, but the only problem is like everybody's saying, I think it would be difficult because we're all gonna need it, and I think we're all gonna be, let's say it's just me and Dickinson.
Well,
I
you
can
have-
tell you, me and Chase are both gonna be fighting for use
Well, you
of
have
it.
to stage it, Seth. I mean, I don't know if you flip a coin or pull a straw or what,
Well,
but,
Deer and Barrel, they sent us 2 chippers, didn't they, the state?
yeah, and that was at the end.
Wouldn't it?
No,
Or
that
we
was
leave
skid, that was skid steers.
Yeah.
The chippers
That's
that,
true. Rented was
that was the
tub
Novas
grinder.
that come over and set up in our yard.
Yeah.
Oh, did they? I
Yes,
thought that was through a star request. Okay.
And we have, like Mr. Schroeder's saying, we have the 35,000 set aside this year to chip. I do not have 10,000 cubic yards in my yard yet.
To put it.
I know we trimmed a lot of trees this year, but it takes a lot of trees to make that cubic yardage. And I still have the $35,000 set aside to chip that up in our yard.
Well, we're not gonna need it this summer, Billy.
and Billy, that money's to cover bringing somebody in like we did during the
Novus,
storm?
yes, sir.
Okay.
We got a price from them and they give us a quote. We have to have at least 8,000 to 10,000 cubic yards before they'll come over.
Billy, did this chipper come onto this CIP from you, or did it come from council?
I think we both, council and me, kind of agreed, but you know, looking at where we're at now, that, you know, we hadn't, unless you have a storm, because this is just a small pull behind chipper.
Yeah.
That's gonna range close to $200,000. The big chipper that Bandit makes now, the 36-inch mouth feed, that's $750,000.
That's it. How much?
I know, right?
If you wanna see one in action, there was one right now at
So I
27
think
acres.
the reason that we chose to put it on there was because of the
Oh,
CCEQ canceling us.
Right.
Well, do y'all want to extend it another year then for this, or 2 years for the chipper?
I'd extend it and then do some research on it. Do
Okay.
some research on if we can get into some kind of agreement.
Okay.
I mean, what's the other interest? I've had other cities come to us.
Yeah.
You know, one I don't wanna really do anything with, but,
Well, the county last year, the gentleman's gone now, he retired, Mr. Crowder, but he was all for entertaining
yeah, well,
several entities to go in.
that's how Lee came into the county. That's what we used to do.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of discussion to have there with our partners at the county. They're talking about even doing a countywide dispatch. of
Because, I mean,
birds
it makes
times.
sense, the, Jack Brooks would be a perfect spot.
So on this other equipment, Billy, talk us through it, what's your,
The side
What's the
mower,
priorities,
I have
I
a
guess?
2010, 2015 side mower. I have, those are in real good shape this year. They've been great, those two smaller side mowers. I could push that off. The two main things on that list right there is the emulsions trailer and the roller.
Yeah. You're gonna have to have that to do the rest of your stuff.
Yes.
And we're
And-
gonna keep on renting
so,
The sweeper for the street sweeper, that's one that you drive, but
okay.
Mr. Schroeder had me get a price on one that goes on our skid steer, and it's only $8,900.
so Rudy, on the street paving, Seth had mentioned that that's really, kind of a non-negotiable. Is there some way that we can highlight these items or bold them or do something to say, hey, these are the ones that we are, with 100% confidence or whatever, that, hey, these are non-negotiables that are gonna stick?
Kind of like that.
Absolutely. There you go.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
So, and if you'll do that for the IT backup system as well up there. And then let's keep going up. Keep going up. Alright, I just wanted to see before we were.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I think that, I don't know if it's 250,000, but we've gotta throw something at this city hall. I mean, look around here, we got ceiling tiles that are warped, we got stains on the carpet, I mean,
Seams coming up.
I mean, the remodel is,
Couldn't make it to the party.
yeah, the remodel's non-negotiable, I think.
well, I think we gotta do
Now,
something.
the dollar figure may be negotiable.
I think it's gonna
but-
give a whole.
But we've
new
gotta
look.
make a step
I
forward.
think it'll give a whole new look too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'll,
If we're not gonna build a new one, then
Yeah,
we need to
that's right.
take care of this one.
And honestly, next with park improvements, I think that's a non-negotiable, guys. I
Oh,
really,
of course.
I really feel that that's
it's
something.
never gonna stop now, Seth.
Nope, so,
Okay. And then Billy's roller and.
a motion trailer,
If you wanna roll back up,
and then motion trailer too.
just,
I'd push that side
Right.
mower. He said we could probably push the side mower a year.
Yeah.
And that's good.
council, your input on the, if you go up to the parks, Rudy, I feel like the lighting should be non-negotiable. I mean, that's a safety concern.
Yeah.
It is our most used park.
It is, y'all, I mean,
You
people.
know, if we don't get cameras, that's one thing, but I think lights is a safety concern.
Nice.
So our staff went on Monday and we walked the trail, part of our Get Healthy initiative up here at the city, and there was at least 25 people walking as well out there on that trail. It was right, at dusk, so,
You clocked out while you did that, right?
yeah, we did after business hour, that's right. Yeah.
Well, you're working 4/10s now, so you sure it was.
It was, we didn't get there till 6:15,
Okay.
so.
Billy, what type of loader we talking
I'm not gonna
about?
ask how many of the staff.
Okay.
I want more.
It's just a big loader, and,
Like a
we
payloader?
could, yeah, we could squeeze it, it's the
You know, yeah, I see this, I see the need in a loader though. I've seen a leaving a lot of stuff.
Well,
on it.
it's a very, very big asset to us in the yard and stuff and for big jobs and loading and unloading, but, as long as we can keep it going. But, it's like a early nineties model.
Yeah, you gotta have, to start doing street repair, we're gonna have to have the three things that got highlighted there. You've gotta have a sweeper, gotta have a roller, and you gotta have an emulsion tray. I mean, the next big thing on there, and, you know, I'm not scared to say it, I know what I want for that road department. But it's way down the road, but you're gonna have to have some type of recycler. We're gonna have to have something that's gonna, you know, we're gonna need a bow mag sooner or later. Unless you could put that into your budget, and I'm sure that's what you're gonna do with the roads for next year, is, you intend on renting it or having the county do the,
Correct,
the
sir.
recycling part?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And for the cost of the, like you're talking about the bow mag,
Yeah,
the county can do it. They come
Oh,
in,
yeah.
they come in, I'm gonna tell you what, they come in a lot cheaper this year on the two roads they're doing for me this year.
Yeah, they
That
lose
linear-
money, they lose money.
yeah.
Well, that linear feet, last year, they charged me $25,000 a road, and now it's only 12,600 for each one of the roads.
We'll take it.
You know, that's good, cause that maybe means we can put some, additional like calcium sulfate or
Keeps
whatever
rolling, running down
limestone
a
into
rabbit
our
hole
base
here.
in those certain areas.
All
Okay,
right.
keep going.
What else you got, Billy?
That's a mechanic truck, our 3/4 ton pickup. It's getting close to being wore out, but we can push that.
How many miles it got on it?
It's like 170-something thousand.
So Billy, that
Should've got
truck,
rid of it at 75.
whoa.
But,
So Billy, that truck has it got a service bed on it or is it just?
no, it's got a flatbed on it. It pulls the low boy with the
Okay.
wall roller and everything right now.
Okay,
And, I can push it for another year.
Have we
And
looked at-
I'm not looking for a new truck either.
How's the maintenance on that?
Okay.
The maintenance is pretty good. It's just getting wore out.
Okay.
Well, that's what Billy was saying, it doesn't have to be, I mean, I've
Used
seen
fleet.
them.
Push the loader. You
Something
can
like-
push the
something
loader
like
out
that
to another
size.
year or two.
Are you sure on the loader?
Well, it's our big
Yeah,
one.
good.
It's still usable. It's still doing a good job.
30 grand.
Yeah, I mean, don't volunteer to push off anything, Billy,
Yeah.
that's gonna hurt you.
Ye-
I mean, if you don't, I mean, if you
Yeah, I
can,
think
you
we need to
can.
move that loader back
it
over.
doesn't, yeah, like,
Put it back on there. We can
Put it back on there, and if we don't get it funded, we can do it next year. So,
Like I said, this is not funding, this is
correct, this
just,
is just
Right.
moving
this is
things
where do you,
forward.
where would you, if you had the money, where do you think it should go? I mean, not all the money in the world, but, you know.
Correct.
so let's ask on the excavator, that's a pretty sore subject right now.
Yeah.
What is the cost on the skid steers that we were replacing it with?
The
Or the
track
min-
machine.
Yeah,
The last track machine we just now bought, the Caterpillar last year, was 168.
Yeah.
A lot better than a great all.
cause I, personally, I'd like to start phasing those in before we have another catastrophic failure of the great all.
There's no initial cost, and so the repairs on the great all this.
Yeah,
The problem with that is you're gonna have to trailer that thing all over town for culvert sets.
We do that now.
Are
So
you doing that now?
we're doing that now. That's the only machine I
That's
got
the one
running right
you
now.
got, Jesus Christ.
I understand it's a convenience to drive to the job site,
Yeah.
but it's not that big of a
Well, as long as
inconvenience.
we got, I mean, we got the
You know,
manpower
a
and
lot
trailer.
less maintenance, a lot less headaches, and I
Yeah.
get a lot
You
more.
talking about the
see,
track machine?
track
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah.
I think it's a more,
So
I mean,
then,
you
so
can get
then
on
we
either
really,
side.
so
Yes.
then we really aren't gonna plan on buying a new excavator in fiscal year 28.
maybe $170,000,
Yeah, we'd trade that out for another track
For the track
machine.
machine,
Yeah.
correct.
which is an excavator.
Right,
It's just not a,
It's like a mini.
well, they're not,
Is that the-
carrier type
Is
excavator.
that the end of the capital improvement plan?
No, we have storm sewers that in the past, last year, we had $100,000 for this coming fiscal year. But I spoke with Billy and I wanted to make sure that we allocated correctly reconstruction versus regular maintenance. And he told me that about $30,000 of the $100,000 is regular maintenance, which would go on our M&O. This is going to be the amount of money for reconstruction that's going to be a fixed asset. And that's why I wanted to separate it out. And so I might, if it's okay, I wanted to go ahead and continue the 70,000 through the rest of the years. And then the 30,000 can be the regular non-capital.
And guys, remember, we cut that this year because we knew we were getting the drainage projects from the EDC. So this is just going back.
In the county,
Yeah,
Ford Street.
correct. Into
So-
the budget.
So you want to go ahead and keep this one here?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's basically, that's piping, Billy?
Yes, sir.
Is your house-
Well, the $70,000 is for new projects.
Oh,
The
okay.
$30,000 is for maintenance.
Gotcha.
When we're digging a ditch and you dig up a driveway and reset it, a lot of times them culverts are not reinforced and they just fall apart on you.
But that,
So-
and that's what it's for culverts and then the.
Yes, sir.
So, quick question around the 400 on paving. Does that include any concrete?
No, sir, and that's something
Asphalt.
that'll be up to y'all to look at. If y'all wanted to split it and do half with concrete, half with asphalt,
I am
or,
fairly adamant that we identify main thoroughfares through the city, main streets, and we start working towards concrete on those, even if it's a little bit every year.
Yeah.
We need to start working towards that, so
well, y'all been around here long enough.
if we need more
Y'all-
than 400, let's talk about that now.
Yeah, y'all kinda understand which ones are our main roads, from Avenue J to Sixth Street to,
Honestly,
First Street.
if we could put in more money, I mean, to me, 400's the minimum. If we could do more money, it's just, gonna depend on the budget this year, but I do think that it's imperative, that we, increase that budget that we can. That way we can stretch those dollars, as far for our citizens as we
That
can.
400's not gonna go as far as you're thinking it's gonna go.
I know, and
Okay,
it's-
everything on that paving is petroleum based.
And do we know what streets that we're going after with that 400? Or is that just a number?
no,
to
sir,
go-
you can't make that determined until after October 1, where I can figure out the linear feet, which roads are in the worst shape, and then I figure out the linear feet, and then I bring it back to Mr. Seth,
So a
and then
portion
me
of
and
that was,
him look at that.
doing
together.
that pavement assessment that was in the strategic plan that we talked about, looking at all of our streets and assigning them, basically a number of what streets are the priority, and that's where we'll attack first. But I think that, I think we all know in this room, one of the areas that, I think for a concrete street, if we were gonna do a concrete street, which is separate from this, but, would be Sixth Street from 646 north. I'd love to do all the way to 1764. That would be a lot of money, but that is our busiest street, for a few reasons, over there, and that road is, not in, the best of shape. So that's an area that we're really gonna have to look at. There's several areas across the city, I know, but, I'm just mentioning that one in particular.
Well, like I said, even if we did a couple hundred feet a year, we're gonna get there, but we need to show some progress.
646, between 646 and P would
Yeah.
be the part I would say is the
Correct.
worst on that road.
Absolutely.
And then,
Just as long as we talk about that going forward
Yeah.
with this.
but I'm 100% with you on that. We talked about that, and to me, that's a main thoroughfare, going to the school, to the library. It's a four-way intersection, and that is a terrible, terrible half-mile road.
So do we have the appetite then to move that up to 500,000 from 4 to 5?
Well, I think it's something that we can certainly talk
Yeah,
about. I
we
mean,
can
if we
take it
end
all
up, if we end up dropping the police cars from 318 to 100, then that gives us another 200 right there that we could add, and then we're at 6. Or if we push the police cars off, all of them off for a year, then that gives us another 320,000. Now we're looking at 720 instead of 300. So-
And I don't want to recommend doing that. I do think that just to have, to keep our fleet, that way we don't ever have a year where we've got to buy so many vehicles. I would never recommend cutting that number down to 0, but we can definitely cut that number down for sure.
That number, I mean, I just see it as, I think when we did the 5 years, I think is when we were running around the clock. Now we're not running around the clock. So to me, they ought to extend out. That's just my opinion.
So then going forward
Sounds back on the car.
with the street paving, we need to, start factoring in concrete in addition to our repairs.
I think
Just,
most of our.
the dollar is what it is, but we've got to, as a city, move forward with
is.
that.
Well,
I think on the concrete repairs, though, that's gonna be such an expensive part. You're probably gonna have to get EDC help on that.
I don't know how, Seth, I don't know how you could really do this if it's possible. But I would like to see if there's some way that we could put a percentage on each department of percentage of how close you are to being fully funded, fully equipped, all of that for each department. You know what I mean? No, what I'm talking about is like, we could look at it and we could say, okay, the police department is they're at 80% of ideal. The street department's at 40% ideal. Well, then we know, hey, look, we may need to give the road department a little bit more attention. I mean, we've got to kind of balance everything out where the same people year after year ain't having to push things further out of the capital improvement plan, and the same people year after year are getting everything that they wanted on the capital improvement.
I'm not gonna tell you that it can't be done, but it would be very difficult to do.
Yeah.
To do that. We don't have the technology to be able to do that. I've had it at, other organizations that I've worked at, but
Yeah.
it's pretty expensive to get. We
Yeah.
don't have it. And I think us trying to do it by hand, would be, very difficult.
We would need to identify
And-
all the assets in the entire city.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Seth, you can see it right there.
Yeah, I mean, we
Very
can,
obviously lopsided.
if we did it based upon, you know, just this information, you know, right here, I mean, you know, we could run an analysis based on these numbers, but I will say, I don't think, even with all of these items, I think that there's probably some more items that we could have to get where we need to be, if that's really what we're trying to forecast out to see, year after year, that number's gonna change as we continue to grow.
I guess all I'm getting at.
What is the, what, I guess, what are we trying to get to?
I guess what I'm getting at, and we have a very seasoned council here that's been a part of a lot of budgets, but it seems like every year the same departments are the ones that are having to push things off, and the same departments are the ones that are automatically getting everything on it. And I mean, at some point in time, we've gotta, you know, I mean, some years we might be heavy on street, then the next year we gotta be, you know, heavy on the library, then the next year we gotta be heavy on the PD. Like, I know, you know, we all have
It's
to
the
take
balancing
turns.
act, that's right.
But it can't be the same departments never getting what's on their
So-
plan and the same department's always getting.
Well, and I'll say
what's
this
on
for
their plan.
Public Works.
And it's nothing personal.
No, if
Towards any department
this
or
year,
another,
I mean,
but
to
it's just being
me,
fair.
Public Works is one of the areas that I feel that we have lacked in years past.
We've pushed off a lot.
That we
equipment.
pushed off a lot,
We have.
and I just feel that we can no longer push these items off. I mean, I understand the chipper, but even if the side mower, if we had the funds available, then we need to push that back over.
And I mean, at this point, it looks like what we have highlighted, I
Is-
mean, we're giving Billy everything that he's asking for that's a need.
Yeah, for sure.
Other than the street paving, you know, I mean, really, we probably need to double that.
Well, you gotta think about how much they can do.
But, and that's the other
Well,
thing
whatever
is,
they can't do, we can contract
we
it
can,
out.
we can contract out, and then, you know, we've got some other options, I think, that we can, you know, do for, singular projects.
How much, Rudy, how much did we spend on capital improvement in this budget cycle? What was that number?
It's right here. The cycle, we spent $457,000.
$450,000. Okay. And what's the total, that's all we spent on capital expenditures? And we're talking about this next year spending
Out
$400,000
of-
just on.
Out of M&O, not including what was the bond issuance.
Right, well, we don't, yeah, we can't count bond insurance because we don't have another bond issue.
Well, I'm just saying.
All right, and then, so the capital improvement plan that we're looking at this year,
That's what this is, that you just selected.
1.6.
okay, so we're looking at 1.6.
I mean, excuse me, I know this is a big investment, but I think it's an investment that's, you know, really needed here in the city. You know, we've had some deferred maintenance, And let's just start addressing what we can, if we, you know, what we can get to.
Seth, that's something I wanted to talk about. And I don't know if this is the place to talk about it. If not, we can put it on a future
Agenda.
agenda.
Yeah.
I wanna know, do we do like a physical plant inspection every year of everything? I'm talking buildings, I'm talking equipment, I'm talking playground equipment, I'm
Right.
talking everything. I know every one of us up here had to do it before. A physical inspection, you know, what is this piece of equipment? This building right here, what shape is it in? This playground equipment, what shape is it in? What are we looking at for the, you know, because that playground equipment's got me, you know.
So that's a good question, and we started that conversation at the beginning of the year with Billy and I mentioned it to Seth as well. It's an asset analysis for the entire city.
Right.
And that's something that's really important for finance as well. The problem is, there just isn't enough people in the city to do it, because it would literally take months to go through every single asset, from a curb to a street
I'm not
light
talking
to.
about the curbs, I'm not talking about the
But
street.
it's for the whole
I'm
city.
talking about our physical, like a physical plant.
Just
Physical property.
What we own.
Tangible property.
You know, what we have in this ground as far as this building right here, any piece of property the city owns, what's that piece of property, what is the value of that piece of property? What does it look like? What condition is it in?
To answer your
This
question.
building on there, like if we could go to Barrington Tully, you know, and we start looking around, like the old building out there, what condition that in? That's a zero condition. Get rid, you know, stuff like that. I mean, where you're not ever gonna put any more money into that.
We have, we, at least to my knowledge, we've never done that, here at the city.
It's something that I see it with that, you know, just several things. But we need to start getting it. I want to talk about the police station. Like the frontage on the police station, the facade. Do we have any kind of thing in the budget where we go out there and do a fungicide or something to clean that mold off and get it clean every year?
Pressure wash it or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess the
that's
parks
the kind of
does,
stuff
don't
I'm talking
They
about.
go
Just-
pressure
I
wash
want
all
to keep
that.
I want the aesthetics of the city and the stuff that we own, you know,
Mhm.
I want it to keep its value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you do it.
Yeah, no, I think that's good discussion, you know, either, you know, just privately between you and Seth, or, you know, we can certainly put it on an agenda item as well, you know, what that looks like, and, you know, maybe start with something very basic, you know, just to build on, but.
And as far as not having enough people, Bubba's off on Fridays.
Not today.
Hey, so are you. I can drive and point.
And this one's out 5 days a
Hey,
week.
whoa.
So, Rudy,
It's a,
what is
I didn't feel I'm
the,
busier now.
what's the amount of all of the highlighted items right now?
just to highlight the absolutes.
And I guess the storm sewers, I
Storm
mean,
sewer
is
is
that
that too,
a
yeah.
non-negotiable?
Yeah.
That's basically stop.
Is this good? This-
That is
And we're not going the way you want to see it.
800,000, $1,058,000?
$1,058,000.
But guys, you know, I think that there's maybe some other thing, I mean, you gotta put the radios in there, keeping that, and, I mean, as well, the handheld radios, I would add that number in there, as well.
Is that gonna change this year? Don't we have upcoming talks on that? On the radios and dispatch and stuff like that?
I don't know that we liked the numbers.
Yeah, it was too high, we're gonna have to keep where it's at right now, I mean, it was just astronomical to make that change, so.
So then we're looking at 1.1.
Yeah.
And last year we were at 450.
And that's if you don't do a vehicle, I recommend it, you know, doing at least one vehicle as well, guys.
And if I may, last year we entertained, and I don't know what council's appetite will be for it for this year, but last year we entertained the MVCPA grant, which is an 80-20 match grant. and we had 2 vehicles built into that grant that could be fully marked police cars, as well as some other equipment. Our total grant was about 100,000, and so our match would have been 20,000 for that, to get the equipment inside that. We ended up not being given the grant by the Office of the Governor, but it is my intent to try and apply for it again this year and put vehicles into that if that's council's appetite.
I think council would love to only pay 20%.
Absolutely.
All right.
It's a good return.
But 20% takes you back your 70 years.
And then on, like, as far as like the, you know, the kitchen at the library, like the kitchen and the bathroom, just maybe with that 35,000, we could probably do a lot with both of that to make that happen.
I don't wanna get hollered at. Do we have to have the office upgrade?
Not
No.
right now.
And I'm not insinuating that we're not gonna fund any of these other ones. I just wanted to try to,
Have
you
a
know,
hard number in your head. yeah.
pull the ones that we know
Are the top.
are non-negotiable. Doesn't mean the other ones aren't gonna get funded. But-
Seth, we could, on the remodel kitchen, we could just, if I can get the meeting room kitchen.
Cause I mean,
For
right now,
18 or 20,
right now,
then we
we
can
don't
move
have a
it.
number. I mean, we
Yeah.
don't know what our
Yeah,
inventory is gonna be yet. I mean, the other night Cheryl said probably April, maybe they would have preliminary, not certified rolls, but at least a preliminary, you know, tax inventory. You know, and then we can kind of, but, I mean, Rudy, as much data as you keep year over year, I mean, on average, what is the percent change of our tax inventory? What do we usually
4.5.
grow?
About 4.5% just in added value.
4.5% in added value.
Right, and that's what I put here, 4.5%.
So if we have that 4.5% in added value, assuming that we keep the same tax rate that we have this year, then what does that total give us?
The difference between these two,
150,000 almost.
about 150.
150,000 more?
Yes.
Yes, just in added value,
Oh, in added value.
so.
Gotcha. No, but I mean, what would that bring our total property tax revenue to? That right there, is what
That
you're
right
saying?
there. Yes.
Keeping the same tax rate that we have right now?
Well, just leaving the tax rate alone, just saying nothing changes, that's how much added value we have that comes in every year without any tax increases. That's it.
Go, how far are we off 1.3? Okay.
All right. Well,
There is one bright spot to all this.
Do tell, Councilman.
Centerpoint should be opening up in
Yeah.
October.
Correct.
That's our new year. That's gonna start us into this, and that ought to help our sales tax.
Absolutely.
I mean, that ought to be a boom for sales tax. That's 100 new employees housed in Santa Fe with all the people that are coming here for meetings and stuff.
those contractors.
It can't
Northeast and Line and Power
do
and all that.
anything but help us.
And that'll help our property tax in fiscal year 20.
And the property tax is gonna be.
Yeah.
Council.
Welcome.
Going back to the capital improvement plan, Rudy, because I know that's kind of the topic for today. Council, is there any projects or things that you would like to see maybe that aren't on the capital improvement plan that you would like for us to consider? I mean, I do agree with the sentiment that Councilmember Schrader had about, you know, I don't know, we've been putting off a parking lot for the library for 5 years now. You know, maybe it's time to either decide to start doing something there or just take it off, but I mean, we just keep pushing it down the road.
So is there any, we keep pushing a total project, right? Is there any reason we couldn't do an expansion this year and then next year follow it? And eventually, you know, 3 years maybe we have the full parking lot, but
Billy, is there a way that we could come in off of S, a second drive off of S, north of the drive that's on S now?
Bring it into the.
Is there anything
into the library.
under
Yeah.
that ground right there that would prohibit
in
that?
the trees right
No,
there?
sir. There's nothing.
Because we could do that parking lot right
Culverts
behind
and
it.
everything else right there.
Well, you know, it's something like Brandon said, you're gonna have to build a parking lot there. I mean, there is no ifs, ands, or buts, unless we're building a new library anytime soon. You're gonna have to have a parking lot.
You're gonna get Becky out there.
I hope everybody in the city knows that was.
It's a flood back here.
That would be a,
Extension on
that would
14th.
be a
But
good
we're gonna
idea.
have to, you're gonna have to start with an idea.
But yeah,
You know, that's the only spot, that's the only land
I
you
got
have.
fleet.
That's right.
But if you
When
come in
that's the
that
parking lot,
way,
better library,
and then, you know, how many parking spaces could you get
Well,
there?
night two
How much
and-
would it cost us for base material just to
No,
start that?
Tuesday
Yeah.
and
You know,
Wednesdays
if
at
we could get
11.
some kind of, you know, what's this gonna
10:30
cost us
until
on base
2:30 on
material?
Wednesdays.
And then maybe push the pavement or
I've
stuff
got
down
mom's
until
parking
next year or something.
Yeah.
But at least
Yeah.
start, get us an entrance there. I don't
Thursday
wanna
nights,
overwhelm the library with
5.
dust. That would be my only concern.
Well, you wouldn't back there, and, I think the street department, the public works department could put the driveway in, it could remove the trees, and it could build the base.
So let's talk,
That's a couple of.
we'll have some more conversation around trees.
Yeah, I mean, well,
But Rusty's-
you just don't have any room there. That's
I
all.
Rusty's-
understand what y'all are talking about, the trash trees, let's rephrase that, trash trees, the oak trees.
The,
The oak trees we left alone.
and Rusty's right, and I know we're running down a rabbit hole a little bit, but an entrance off S for that expansion would be ideal.
We have
And-
140,
and I
We already
think-
have one.
140 footer that way, but
I think
we
we
can
need
put
to-
in a second one.
The north one.
I think
so
we
you
need
just
to
have like-
relocate the one in the
Yeah.
front and get it away from the park. And then, because there's already been conversation around the children and the access to the parking lot, if we move that over towards the middle or eliminate it and just come off S either way, but,
Yeah.
yep, there's a project to be discussed there.
That's cool.
All right, gentlemen.
But to answer your question, it's doable.
Okay.
So-
That's
so you
the
wanna
only
put-
place I see out there to do it.
Is there anything
Y'all
else?
wanna put some money in there for discussion?
I
this
just know
year
that
for the future?
that $200,000 might not as well be on there if we're gonna look at it for 29. Because our problem is now,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna get
So-
any, with this homeschool program, I'm telling you.
Put 50,
It's
put
gonna be
50 in there,
double it.
Rudy, and we'll come back and talk about it.
Why don't we do 50 this year and do 50, 28, 29, and 30, and then that way we've kind of got a,
A plan to
If you can get
finish it
your
out,
culverts
yeah.
in and get a base down, you know? And have some
There you go.
temporary parking.
One too many zeros there, Rudy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
There you go. Yeah,
Becky's gonna,
Come on, Becky.
somebody better put a fan on Becky.
That was a parking garage.
Cool her down.
That was a parking garage there.
That's it, we might need to talk to tickets a bit.
Yeah.
Well, you want a
Listen,
two-story
overhead
library, so
garage.
they
All
can-
right, council, is there any other discussion about capital projects? We can sit here and take turns telling stories till noon if y'all want to.
Yeah, I'll bring up a question, and maybe it's been corrected, I haven't followed up on it in a bit. We talked about some structural issues at the PD on that back wall, was that ever corrected? There were some cracks that were showing?
No, I believe I had passed that on to Georgia. I don't know if we had ever heard anything on it.
We need, at a minimum, we need to look at it and see if
I'll
it's
follow up with her when she gets back.
if it's structurally sound and what repairs look like for that, because we don't want that building to get away from us.
Rudy, throw that down.
Might have to add that to the capital improvement plan, right?
Right.
That's back where the Sally Port is, are you talking about?
It was, no,
Yes,
no.
yes.
Whether, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that exterior wall had a crack in it already.
Personnel services.
I hate to say I did.
Rudy, will you, send this out to us?
Absolutely. This is going to start, it's going to be V1 and version 1. Let me see if I can scroll up to. So this is what the dashboard will look like. It'll say under construction. So none of this is actually working yet.
Oh, okay, well then don't worry about it. Don't worry about sending it to us then.
But you will see these items in there, the ones we just talked about.
Okay, on our, and the flock cameras are still on discussion, but we need 2 to be able to get into the system.
Yeah.
Wasn't there
And we
conversation
say
around the
we
grant
need,
for
at
those?
least need 3.
We have had some interest from a private business owner who has talked about funding some.
There we go.
And we had had some issues getting numbers, but within the past couple of weeks, we've gotten hard numbers at 3,500 apiece installed.
So we can have conversation with that individual now and see, okay.
Yes, sir.
But they will be on the hook for the 3,000 a year?
I know a subdivision that wants one.
Per camera.
Is that what that was, what, 2,000? For the annual,
Per camera.
Per
Per
camera
camera.
annually, yeah.
The whole thing about it is it gets you on the network.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly is a best practice.
Yeah, I mean, it helps everybody.
One thing that I'd like to do in the future, just to let you guys know, I'd like to revise some of these documents, especially future projections, to start realistically looking at inflation over time, because this 100,000 is not gonna be the same as this 100,000. And I'd like to be able to project that out and have it work in the budget as far as, you know, how it hits the fund balance. Is that fine?
I think it makes sense.
Very good. I mean, that's the same way with,
And then before we adjourn, Rudy, can you go back to the main sheet that you started with, the calendar, and let's just kind of do a brief overview of what our next meetings look like and what we're going to be discussing.
So the next one that we have is originally scheduled for April 9th, but it looks like that's probably going to be the 13th. Is that correct? Which is the Thursday of April, which is the third Thursday of the month?
16.
16th would be the
16.
So we're going to do that as a 6 o'clock special meeting before the regular council meeting?
Why do we need to change that, Brody?
We could also do it.
Why don't we have it on the day we have it scheduled?
We have it scheduled on the 9th. We can have it that day. It's a special one on Thursday. And it could be at 6 or 7, since there won't be a council meeting that day.
Can y'all get here
Can you do 6?
That's 6, yeah.
Can you do
Thursday.
6?
Yeah.
Thursdays you can do 6 o'clock? Y'all can, okay.
And that way, if it runs longer, we don't interfere with the council meeting and.
There won't be a council meeting.
Right,
There
that's
will
what
be
I'm
a, and
saying.
that was the reason we did it then, yeah. Okay, perfect,
I'll check my calendar. You check your calendar.
perfect. So we'll have that next on the
And
schedule, April 9th.
what is that, April 9th?
Yes.
Where did it go? Oh, there it is.
And we'll send y'all a
Okay,
calendar
so it
invite.
says capital improvement plan workshop. I mean, that's what we did today. What more do we need to discuss?
That was future capital projects, so this one is a continuation of that. We could go, which we actually did a lot more than I expected, so this one, we can start talking about different departments, and especially
Yeah, I think so.
admin, and that's about it.
Council, I mean, I don't know what else we need to talk about capital improvements till we figure out what our money's gonna be. Yeah, so yeah, we can start, department.
We already have a
department
couple of departments that are working. I think Billy's working, PD, court, and library have already been really engaged in working on their budgets, so.
And then by workshop 3, we should have a preliminary tax roll inventory maybe that we can start looking at. Will Rudy or Seth or whoever, will y'all send out calendar invites for these meetings?
Absolutely.
All right. Council, anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Motion adjourned.
Motion and second. Thank you, gentlemen. 9:28.
Thank you, staff.
Thank you, thank you.
No.
Thanks, Mr. Lloyd.
Give you back some of your time, staff. Go do something with it. Volunteer at the animal shelters.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Is that what retired people
We're
do?
good, go ahead and go.
I think they go over at the senior center.
You know, I was supposed to. So council meeting
Okay.
I'm not supposed to anymore. Besides,
Hey, council, is that a-
Okay.